What happens when a woman finally finds the courage to walk away from the man she once loved, only to have him take everything from her? This is the heartbreaking story of Amanda S. Williams, a mother, a fighter, a woman trying to rebuild her life, and how her trust in someone she once loved ended in one of the most brutal murders of 2023. A case that shocked a quiet Tennessee community and left everyone asking, why didn't anyone stop him? Amanda S. Williams was the kind of woman who radiated warmth. A 34-year-old single mother from Georgia, she had a smile that could light up a room and a laugh so infectious, it made strangers feel like old friends. Life hadn't always been kind to Amanda, she'd faced more than her fair share of heartbreak, but her resilience made her unforgettable. She worked hard, took care of her kids, and was finally starting to believe that she, too, deserved a little happiness. So when Terrell Edwards walked into her life, Amanda thought maybe, just maybe, this was the love she had been waiting for. He came at a time when she had all but given up on the idea of real, lasting love. Amanda had spent so many years being the strong one, for her kids, for her family, for herself, that she forgot what it felt like to be taken care of. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. She was the kind of woman who always poured into others, and now, for once, someone was pouring into her. And Tell knew exactly how to make a woman feel seen. He was smooth, confident without being cocky, with just the right mix of street-smart grit and soft-spoken sensitivity. He would listen when Amanda talked, really listen, and he'd repeat back little things she said days later, like he was holding on to her words. It made her feel special in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. He called her queen. Said she deserved to be treated like royalty. He'd open doors for her, bring her lunch at work, randomly show up with flowers just to see her smile. He praised her beauty constantly, not just the physical, but the kind of beauty that radiates from the inside out. "You're rare," he once whispered, brushing the hair out of her face as they laid in bed. "A real one. I'm not letting you go." And Amanda believed him. How could she not? They spent late nights on the phone, talking about dreams and disappointments. Amanda confided in him things she hadn't told anyone, her fears about raising kids alone, her past heartbreaks, her doubts about whether she was even lovable anymore. And Tell, with his soothing voice and calculated words, always had a way of quieting those insecurities. He told her she was enough. That he saw her. That he would protect her. Looking back, those promises hit differently. Because they weren't just sweet, they were strategic. Tell didn't just want to love Amanda. He wanted to consume her. And in those early days, he did it by being exactly who she needed him to be. He talked about building a life together, maybe getting a place out in the country one day, far from the noise and chaos. He mentioned how he wanted to be a father figure to her kids, how he respected her strength and independence. He even met her family and made a great impression. He was polite, respectful, and charming. Everyone thought Amanda had finally found her match. The man who would love her right? But the truth was, Tell wasn't building a future with Amanda. He was constructing a cage. Slowly. Quietly. Carefully. And it started with love. You see, abusers rarely show up with their fists. Not in the beginning. They show up with compliments, romantic gestures, and promises of forever. And Tell knew the playbook by heart. He didn't raise his voice in those first few months. He didn't show jealousy, he framed it as concern. He didn't isolate Amanda, he simply wanted her all to himself. And she, after so many years of not being chosen, mistook his obsession for passion. She didn't see the danger in his eyes. Not yet. To Amanda, Tell was a fresh start. A man who didn't see her as a single mother with baggage, but as a woman worth loving. A woman worth staying for. And when you've been hurt enough times, you start to crave that kind of validation more than anything. You stop asking why someone loves you, and start clinging to the fact that they do. But behind Tell's affectionate words and warm smiles, something darker was lurking. Something broken. Something angry and insecure, that masked itself as love but was really just control in disguise. And Amanda, blinded by hope, by the dream of finally having her person, couldn't see it. At least not at first. Their relationship escalated fast, almost too fast. Within just a few months, Tell had moved into Amanda's home, unpacked his things like he had always belonged there, and before long, they were engaged. It felt like a whirlwind. One day they were dating, the next they were planning a future. Amanda was glowing. For the first time in years, she seemed genuinely happy, walking around with that soft smile people wear when they think they've finally made it. To the outside world, it looked like a fairy tale. Her Facebook status changed. Pictures of them laughing together, holding hands, out on dinner dates, filled her timeline. He'd post her too, call her his ride or die, his wifey, his forever. He made big declarations online, the kind people scroll past and say, "Damn, I hope I find that one day." But while most people cheered for Amanda, not everyone bought into the fantasy. Some of her close friends started to feel a shift. Not in Amanda, but in the space around her. Something felt off. Tell was intense. Too intense. He'd call Amanda all the time, every hour on the hour. If she didn't answer immediately, the missed calls would pile up, followed by a flurry of texts. "Where you at? Why you ain't picking up? Call me back now." At first, Amanda made excuses. "He just worries about me. He's protective, that's all. He's been through a lot, and I get it." But her friends weren't so sure. They noticed how she started canceling plans last minute. How she'd look at her phone during girls' nights, fidgeting nervously, checking in like she was on a curfew. He didn't like her going out without him. Didn't trust her male friends, even the ones she'd known for years, long before Tell came along. He'd make passive-aggressive comments when they texted her. He'd say things like, "If he respects your relationship, he wouldn't be messaging you," or "You don't need male friends when you got me." Amanda tried to play it down. She told her friends, "He just loves me too much." She even laughed it off sometimes, made jokes about how clingy he was. But deep down, when the room got quiet and the laughter faded, a small voice in her gut whispered, "This doesn't feel right." And that whisper started getting louder. Because as the weeks turned into months, the charming version of Tell began to fade. In his place stood a man who needed control more than connection. The red flags started to ripple through Amanda's life like cracks in a foundation. At first, they were subtle. He'd insist on driving her everywhere. Not out of kindness, but so he could know where she was and when. He'd ask her what she was wearing before she left the house, and if it was too much, they'd fight. He'd scroll through her social media, question every like, every comment, every friend request. The love that once felt like a warm hug now felt like a vice grip. Her friends noticed that she wasn't as open anymore. Amanda, who used to call and vent and laugh and cry over wine, now gave short, clipped answers. "Everything's fine. We're just going through a rough patch. It's nothing." But it was never nothing. And while Amanda still tried to convince herself that Tell was just a passionate man who loved hard, she couldn't ignore how exhausted she was becoming. How much energy it took just to keep the peace. How she had to walk on eggshells more and more. That soft smile she used to wear started to disappear. Because the red flags were no longer just whispers in the background. They were alarms, and they were getting louder. As the months rolled on, Amanda began to drift away from everyone and everything that once brought her joy. At first, it was subtle. She started declining invitations more often. "I'm just tired," she'd say. "Got too much on my plate." But the truth was, she wasn't just tired, she was tired down. The Amanda who used to post silly videos with her kids, share throwbacks with her sisters, or tag her best friends in memes, had gone quiet. Her social media dried up. No updates. No selfies. No glimpses into her life. Just silence. And silence speaks volumes. Friends began to notice things. Not just her absence, but her appearance. Amanda always prided herself on looking put together. Even on her worst days, she'd find time for lip gloss and a little edge control. But now? She looked worn. Eyes dull, shoulders heavy, spirit dimmed. And there were other things that made people whisper behind closed doors. A bruise on her wrist she blamed on bumping into a doorknob. A mark on her neck she claimed was from roughhousing with the kids. Nervous laughter. Forced smiles. Excuses that didn't line up. People asked. Her sister. Her best friend. Even a neighbor. "Amanda, are you okay?" She'd always respond the same way, with that tired half-smile and a quiet, "Yeah, everything's fine." But everything was far from fine. Tel's need for control had evolved into obsession. He wasn't just possessive anymore, he was paranoid. He'd snatch Amanda's phone the second she walked through the door. Scroll through her messages. Check her call logs. Read her emails. He even installed tracking apps so he'd know exactly where she was at all times. She once joked to a friend that she couldn't even go to Walgreens without explaining why it took 12 minutes instead of 10. But it wasn't funny. He'd accuse her of cheating when she was folding laundry. He'd yell if she didn't respond to a text fast enough, even if she was helping the kids with homework. It didn't matter what she did. In Tel's eyes, she was always doing something wrong. And Amanda? She was suffocating under the weight of his mistrust. She started shrinking in her own home. She second-guessed her tone, her movements, her expressions. She was afraid to breathe the wrong way. Walking on eggshells wasn't a phrase anymore, it was her life. And yet, she stayed. Why? It's hard to say. Maybe it was love, what little remained of it. Maybe it was fear, the kind that keeps you locked in place, whispering that leaving might be more dangerous than staying. Or maybe, just maybe, Amanda was still holding on to the hope that somewhere deep inside, the man she had fallen for was still in there. That if she just held on a little longer, things would get better. That the sweet Terrell, the one who used to leave her love notes and kiss her forehead, would come back. But he never did. Instead, he got meaner. Angrier. More volatile. And Amanda? She became a shell of the woman she used to be. Quiet. Withdrawn. Careful. Until one night. October 21st, 2023. A night that would change everything. Amanda and Terrell had another explosive argument, one of many in a long line of nights filled with shouting, slammed doors, and shattered hope. But this one felt different. There was a heaviness in the air, like the storm had finally reached its breaking point. Amanda, exhausted from months, years, of trying to keep the peace, was no longer backing down. Maybe she stood up for herself in a way she hadn't before. Maybe she finally said the thing Terrell couldn't stand to hear. Whatever it was, it pushed him over the edge. Neighbors later reported hearing loud voices piercing through the walls, Amanda's voice raised, desperate, trembling. Terrell's deeper, angrier. Then came the crashing. A thud, glass breaking, furniture scraping violently against the floor. And then, silence. Not just quiet. An eerie, gut-churning silence. The kind that makes you stop mid-breath, straining your ears because your body already knows something is terribly wrong. That silence lasted for too long. Sometime after midnight, Terrell finally placed a call to 911. His voice, though shaky, carried no real urgency, just a cold, rehearsed calm. He told dispatchers that Amanda wasn't breathing. That he needed help. But what the paramedics found when they arrived was not a woman who had simply stopped breathing. It was a crime scene. Amanda's body lay still, covered in bruises. Her face was swollen, her lips blooded. There were clear signs she had been hit, repeatedly, and choked. The medical examiner would later confirm multiple blunt force injuries and strangulation. She had fought back. Her fingernails were broken, her arms bruised from defensive wounds. Even as her world closed in, Amanda didn't go quietly. She tried to survive. But this time, love wasn't enough to save her. Terrell tried to play the grieving fiancé. He cried during police interviews and claimed Amanda had fallen during an argument. But the crime scene told a different story. There were signs of a struggle: broken glass, overturned furniture, blood spatter. This wasn't an accident. This was rage. Within days, police arrested Terrell Edwards and charged him with second-degree murder. During interrogation, his story unraveled. He admitted to hitting Amanda during an argument but claimed he never meant to kill her. As if that somehow softened the brutality of what he had done. The community was shaken. Amanda's family was devastated. Her children were left without a mother. And all for what? Because of a man who couldn't control his anger? Because of someone who mistook possession for love? At the trial, Amanda's friends and family filled the courtroom. They spoke about who Amanda was: a loving mother, a loyal friend, a woman who always tried to see the good in people, even in someone like Tell. They wept as they described the hole her death had left in their lives. The jury didn't take long. Terrell was found guilty and sentenced to 40 years in prison. But justice doesn't bring Amanda back. It doesn't heal the trauma of her children or silence the pain her loved ones still carry. What happened to Amanda is a brutal, heartbreaking reminder that love should never hurt. That control is not affection. And that silence can be deadly. Amanda S. Williams deserved better. She deserved to grow old, to watch her kids grow up, to laugh again without fear. But her story doesn't end with her death. It lives on through her children, through the voices of those brave enough to speak out, and through the hope that her life and death might one day save someone else. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic abuse, please don't wait. Reach out. Speak up. Your life is worth saving. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new real-life crime videos like this one.